Hey guys, Untitled Boy here, and today we're going to be doing another review, and we're taking into the skies known as the M24, or if you have the there's also an Italian version called the M70. Let's begin. Now, this actually is one of the more rather kind of a weird history behind this, and yes, this is technically the weirdest thing about it. So, technically made from a modified M14. Yes, actual deal. And I'm going to give to the another room to here. Yes, let's not be confused with the Belgium M24. It has the same name to it, but the difference is the one with the fit little have this whole thing. Maybe it does, but it's actually, there's a thing to it. It says M24, the US version, but if you're looking for the Belgium version, it's also has another has the same familiar name known as the M.24. So that is another difference between it. And of course, thing like the M25 in this guy and the M14, the only difference is this little cord. Yeah. It actually does not have it actually had the same connection port, but actually this one's in reverse. Well, the other one has the hole in there, has the female port to it. So let's begin with the history of it. So in 1933, they decided to have a requirement for the air crewmen in 1932, but almost about basically 30 years, 1962 to be exact. Yes, that is almost there. They decided to standardize a mask that is basically look familiar to this, basically a modified version of the M14, basically turned it into the M24. So these masks have been used up during in 1962 all over for 1990s, thus being basically obsolete during in the 1990s. And yes, I will actually give you this little fun note here. There is also a M7. There's also Italian army use this mask. Yes, but I'm just not making that up. They decided to call it as the M70. Yeah, another. Yeah, if you actually got this, well, you also got the M70. How funny it is. That's the only difference it is. I'm not sure about I don't have the accessory for the M70, but here's about to it. So if you got this and decide to use an Italian like gear to it, you basically have the M70. But I mean, who knows about it? So let's get on to the meat and potatoes of it, the gas mask and the accessories itself. Let's begin. Let's get off with the accessories. Now, first of all, you got the carrier. Now, it basically is, well, technically this is like made from nylon with the cotton straps over it. And there's a hole for the filter. Yeah, now, we're going to get to that later, alongside with the mask itself. Of course, you got the name itself. The U.S. Mass Chemical Biological Aircraft M24. That's how they... alongside with... This is basically for... Actually, this is basically for the shoulder strap and, of course, the leg strap. Definitely have a Velcro strap and definitely have a Velcro flap out there. I like how they basically have this whole thing and you get to fold that in there. That's actually pretty useful out there. Alongside with the tab out there, made from cotton. Now, inside of the carrier, and yes, inside the carrier, there is also things like one pocket for the lenses, another pocket for the chemical hood out there, which And of course, the little strap to attach onto the filter. And that little cotton piece, that's for the mask, so it won't damage it. Now let's get the accessories out of it. Here is the chemical hood for it. And this is actually for over the helmet, believe it or not. Yeah, this is actually for over the helmet. So, yeah, just keep that in mind because, yeah, that big, huge helmet out, or basically, yeah, that's actually to go over the helmet. And inside the other one, now inside this one, it actually has the lenses. Now, there's also another pair of lenses which is basically clear and not, there's also both versions, or two of these things, called the clear, actually has a clear one and a, very much the one I have, is the black tinted ones. And now we get to the hose, the filter itself. Yeah, this is basically can get onto the leg and the hip. But yeah, technically just both for the leg and the hip out there. But let me show you about this and we'll transition. And this is where the filter goes. And yeah, yeah, it's right there. That little strap on there, that's basically to snap onto the hose out there. And the little hole out there, the metal ring, that's actually for the filter to put on there. Now let's get to the mask itself. Oh yeah, and also the carrier itself, it's actually meant to be designed on the right side of the leg. Meanwhile, for the M25 and the M17, it's actually designed to be on the left side of the leg. And this, now the filter, the entirety of how to carry it like that, it actually is meant to be on the waist. So yes, here is the mask itself. Now, the mask itself is kind of a bit like the M14, but the only difference is, well, you guessed it, is the mic itself. This one has a male connection. Yeah, has the male connection to it. Meanwhile, for the M14 and the M25, it will have a female connection port. Another weird, or rather interesting thing about it, I actually find the pose interesting, is this one's actually have like nylon out there. Kind of interesting. I actually know that they do exist of those. I want to find those out. And of course, I have the M10 filter. Oh yeah, there was also multiple companies out there. The one I have, one of the examples is made by, have that MSA on there, which is kind of interesting. Yep. Also, the XL port on there. Yes, the M10 filter. Also, it turns out that there's two differences out there. One, it has that very much normalized, basically normal styled out there without that whole thing out there. Could I get that out of here? I don't know. How do I get that bad boy out? But I'm not going to. But yes, there's also the one without that whole thing, or the whole rubber area, which is kind of basically like a normal World War II style. Which that's, let me show you what I'm talking about. Here's the example of it. It actually had that style that was in there. But I don't want to have to rip it out or do something really dumb out there to to not bring that back. So yes, the strap itself, and I forgot to mention, this actually is meant to be on the hip side out there. Now, the mask itself, these two pieces, kind of a weird thing about this whole thing is you can basically, let me show you the, so this whole thing, yes, this little lens, the anti-fog lens, or anti-glare lens, basically attached onto these little snap buttons. Here we go. That's actually what it's supposed to look like when you snapped it on. And snapping it off would be pretty easy out there. Kind of reminds me of the M50 series, where they basically have two plastic or rather, two notches to basically put it on there. Pretty easy out there. So let's get in. Also have the 6-point head harness, which is always a good sign out there. Not a bad sign, an actual good sign out there. Nah, it could be bad or good. Who knows? So inside of the mask, there's also the little connection port just for the whole thing itself. So let me tell you about basically the whole entirety of it. So when you inhale it, the air will go in there. And when you exhale, it'll go basically to the exhale valve piece. There's no TSOT system out there, unfortunately. Quite lacking of it. But it has the oral nasal cup. And the whole option, or rather the whole entire connector port, just for basically communicating things. So here's another demonstration of what's supposed to be with the chemical hood. Let me bring that up. So yes, this could actually be a normal hood, right? Well, the hood itself actually has another option, and yes, the reason why it's rather big like that, because I know this is going to sound like some tinfoil hat level, crazy, cringy, crazy thing, but it actually is designed to be over the helmet. Unfortunately, I don't have a helicopter helmet, but I do have another helmet that is usage, or actually how to use of it. Let me show you a little transition. 3, 2, 1. Okay, yeah, this is what it's supposed, and this is have a helmet on there. Well, it's technically a bump helmet thing, but you get the point out here. This actually supposed to have a helmet. It actually is a hood over the helmet, than actually being a normal gas mask, which it is optional. You can do that. Yeah, this is a thing to it. I wouldn't be as surprised that you could basically put a fast helmet on there or something. I'm gonna expect for some goofy things, and maybe I'll do some when I'm testing the mask. So let us begin trying on the mask, or testing the mask itself. Oh, and speaking of the whole thing, it actually is I lied about the whole Italian army thing. They actually had it with the Italian aviators. Basically, basically the Italian equivalent to the Air Force. The only difference out here is an actual manual for the mask itself, or the M70. So that's a little bit of a clarification. Now, let us begin.
So this is what it sounds like with the mask.
Yeah, I'm a little shocked myself too. So, what's my pros and cons? Now, pros enough about it, which kind of surprises me about this. There's actually a lot of options for to basically. So, I gotta say here, the pros itself, at the time, it actually been used perfectly well, like during the 1990s, which that's interesting to talk about. But the cons are just like the MK5, the filter. This one is rather fixed than the one you can take off, and that's not a really good sign because if the filter, yes, the filter can last basically 30 years, I doubt this would be pretty useful because it will contain asbestos. Oh wait, the one I have is from 94. Yeah, so about like 2 years after 2 years, this is not gonna go well or not gonna be useful anymore. So that's fine. But again, you can't actually have another attachment out there again, which yes, it does attach to another one. Which unfortunately, yeah, you're kind of stuck with it, just like the non-combatant mask, basically the civilian World War II mask that, yes, I didn't wear it. Yeah, that contains asbestos too, so this is basically a major problem out there. And yes, the lacking of a drinking straw is another thing about it. And the thing is, let's look at this. They have, let me show you the examples of it. Because at the same era, Vietnam War, or the Cold War, the M17 has these things, has the drinking straws. Why doesn't have that? Look at, oof, man. That's a big oof on that one. I think, I mean, yeah, and it's actually kind of, kind of weird out there. Like, it doesn't have a drinking straw. Like, I think it's because it's, like, aircraft usage. Yeah, those guys are gonna be sweating so hard. Like, they're gonna be sweating their balls off when they're wearing this, like, in the heat in Vietnam. Yeah, that's not gonna go well out there. But to be honest here, you're on a helicopter. Again, it's pretty hot out there. Or in Vietnam. So, my verdict rating for the M24 do have a pro to this one because it is panoramic, and the lenses wasn't a pain in the neck, unlike the other counterpart, which a little spoiler for next review. Unlike including the filter itself. Oh, we're gonna get that bad. We're gonna get to that. But yes, it's actually not bad out there. So my final verdict of the M24 aircraft mask, I'm giving this a 6 out of 10. I think it's a not bad mask out there, yeah. But it does have some flaws out there. Now, comment down below if you want me to try out all of my, or technically, basically all of my helmets to use it with this, like an example out of it. Yeah, the helmet that I used that wasn't, it unfortunately, which unfortunately don't have the helicopter helmet that was designed for. Instead, I actually used this helmet, which is basically a helmet that was used for the aircraft carrier. Yeah, that helmet there. But if you want me to try all the helmets with this thing, comment down below, because maybe we can do a follow-up video to it. But that wraps up the M24 aircraft mask. So tune in next time when we get to, oh yes, I'm talking about something that, a little sneak peek, oh yeah, the M17 series. Now tune in next time when I talk about that bad boy. I'm Untitled Boy, and I'm signing out.